Welcome to At Forest Edge, a podcast for the woman who asks the deeper questions, who finds God in the ancient stories, the forgotten myths, and the hard places of her own life. I'm Rihanna Tilley, a watercolor artist, a storyteller, and a woman who has stood at the edge of the dark wood and found that the light was there all along. Pull up a chair. Let's follow this thread together. I want you to think about a room you have been in, maybe a party, a gathering, a Bible study, a church event, and somewhere in that room there's a woman, and you notice her almost immediately. Not because she walked up to you. She didn't have to. She has one of those laughs, the kind that carries. She is animated and warm, and people are orbiting her like she is her own small sun. She sparkles. And she is wonderful. I want to be clear about that. She is genuinely wonderful. But I want to talk to the other woman in the room, the one just lightly to the edge of things, listening more than she speaks, watching, thinking thoughts she isn't sure anyone would want to hear. She has something to say. She almost always has something to say. But the moment never quite opens for her, or when it does, she second guesses herself. So she holds it in, turns it over, tucks it away. She goes home and thinks of everything she could have said. If that is you, if that has ever been you, I made this episode for you. Stay with me. I'll tell you something about myself. I get nervous speaking in front of crowds. I am usually the one listening, taking everything in, sitting with ideas until they become something worth saying. But in most rooms, most Bible studies, most gatherings, by the time I have worked it out what I want to say, the conversation has moved on. Or I say it and people look at me like I have two heads. I have had women tell me afterward that I am intimidating, but in a good way. But I'm not really sure what that even means. Or I've had women tell me that the way I think about things makes them uncomfortable. For a long time, I let that tell me something was wrong with me. I kept myself smaller. I stopped offering what I saw. I sat at the edge of the room and watched the conversation stay on the surface. And I held the deeper water inside me because nobody seemed to want it. But then there was a day. I was asked to share my testimony. I thought it would be a small group of women, intimate, manageable. I walked into a room full of tables. Women I didn't know. Women who I knew had judged me. My hands were not entirely steady. But I knew this one thing. It was not about me being impressive. It was about being faithful. So I told the truth. The hard parts, and the beautiful parts, and the parts I'm still figuring out. And something happened in that room that had nothing to do with my skill or my poise or how put together I seemed, because I wasn't. It pointed somewhere. And the women who needed to find that somewhere, they found it. That is what a shimmer does. It doesn't draw your eye to itself. It draws your eye to the light behind it. I want to take you to Psalm 34, verse 5. You may have read it before. It says, "Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed." Radiant. That is a beautiful word in English, but I want to show you what it is in Hebrew, because the original word does something the translation cannot quite capture. Nahar. To shine, to flow, to be lightened. Light in motion, not static, not fixed, not performative. A living luminescence, like a stream catching the sun as it moves over the water. Nahar is not a spotlight. It is not a stage. It is not something you turn on and aim at yourself. It is what happens to a face, to a life that has been turned toward God and simply left there, looking. The light comes, it flows, it moves, and it is gentle. This is a shimmer word. This is your word. There is another kind of glory in Scripture. When Moses came down from the mountain after being in the presence of God, His face was so bright that the Israelites could not look at him directly. He had to wear a veil. That word, kavod, in Hebrew means heavy, weighty, overwhelming glory, the kind that stops you in your tracks, the kind that dazzles. That is a sparkle, and it is real, and it is holy, and it belongs to God. But Psalm 34 is something else entirely. Moses went up the mountain and came down blazing. The woman in Psalm 34 simply looks. She turns her face toward the Lord in the middle of her ordinary life, in her kitchen, in her grief, in her quiet. And something begins to flow from her that she didn't manufacture, didn't rehearse, didn't project. Both are glory, but one is a floodlight and one is a lantern, and the world needs both. The floodlight illuminates the crowd. The lantern is what you carry in the dark room, one at a time, and sit with someone who is afraid. I want to take a small detour into something ancient. Bear with me. This is how my mind works, and I think you will see where it leads. In Genesis 1:16, we are told that God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night, the sun and the moon. Now, I want to be very clear before I go any further. I am not here to worship the moon. I am here to worship the one who made it. But I believe God put things in creation on purpose, as pictures of something he wanted us to understand. And the moon is one of the most extraordinary pictures he ever painted. The moon has no light of its own. None. Every culture across human history that has looked up at that luminous face glowing over the dark world has eventually discovered the same astonishing truth. It does not generate anything. It only reflects. The sun is always shining on the moon, and the moon simply holds that light and gives it back to the world in a form the night can bear. The sun is magnificent. The sun sparkles, but you cannot look directly at the sun. It is too much, too bright, too overwhelming for human eyes in their current condition. We were not made to stare into it. But the moon you can look at. The moon draws your eyes upward in the dark. The moon makes the night navigable. Sailors have crossed oceans by her. Farmers have planted by her cycles. Mothers have watched her from windows at 3 a.m. when the house is quiet, and something in her chest is not. And here is what I want you to hear. The moon governs the tides, the great, deep, massive movements of the ocean. All of that power, all of that movement, governed not by noise or force or dazzle, but by a quiet, faithful reflection of a light that is not her own. She is a shimmer, and she moves the deep. I want to give you one more picture before we land this plane. I hope you will forgive me for how much I love an unexpected illustration. There's this song, When You Believe, written for the Prince of Egypt. And if you have heard the version recorded by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, two of the most extraordinarily gifted voices of the 20th century, you know what dazzling sounds like. It is breathtaking. It is the kind of performance that makes you think about the singers, their talent, their range, their power. It sparkles with everything they are, and they are extraordinary. But there is another version. The version sung by Michelle Pfeiffer and Sally Dworsky in the film itself. They are not Whitney Houston. They are not Mariah Carey. Nobody watching that film is thinking about how impressive their voices are. And something happens. You believe. Not because the singing is the most technically stunning thing you have ever heard, but because it got out of the way. Because the heart and soul of the piece shone through without competing with it. Because it pointed. And when something truly points away from itself and towards something greater, the greater thing actually appears. That is nahar. That is the shimmer. That is what happened in the room that night. I shook my way through my testimony and told the truth anyway. The women who were moved, they were not moved because I was impressive. They were moved because for a moment, something real and true and larger than the both of us was visible. And I got out of the way, and the light came through. I painted something once that I didn't fully understand at the time. It's a tiny painting. The kind collectors call an ACEO, an artist card, edition and original, small enough to hold in the palm of your hand, like a trading card. A firefly and a moonflower beneath a full glowing moon with stars scattered like diamonds across the dark. I didn't know when I painted it that I was painting this episode. The firefly was small, easily missed in the daylight, unremarkable in the brightness of noon, but in the dark, it becomes one of the most magical things in the natural world. Nobody overlooks a firefly at night. It carries exactly the light it was made to carry, at exactly the hour the world needs it. The moonflower closed all day while the showy flowers perform in the sun, but when the dark comes, it opens. It was made for this hour. It blooms when everything else has gone to sleep. The moon. You already know what I think about the moon. And the stars, even the smallest points of light, have been named, have been placed, have been given their post in the dark sky and told to hold it. If you feel like you are one of these, a firefly, a moonflower, a quiet star, I want you to know that the one who made the night sky made you for it. Your light is not less. It is tuned to a different frequency. And the people who need it, they are in the dark, and they are looking for exactly what you carry. The original painting is currently in my eBay shop and is a tiny original piece of art, small enough to set on a nightstand or a desk. I'm also working on fine art giclée prints that will be available on my website at forestsedge.com. If you need something to hold onto from today, a small physical reminder of what kind of light you carry, I would love for you to have it. I want to leave you with this. There will always be women who sparkle, women who light up a room from the moment they walk in, who make everything louder and brighter and more energized just by being there. That is a real gift. The world genuinely needs it, but the world also needs the woman who shimmers, the one who listens before she speaks, the one who sees what others miss, the one who sits with someone in the quiet and says the true things softly, the one whose face, over years of looking toward God, has begun to carry something that she cannot name and did not manufacture, a kind of warmth, a depth, a quality of presence that makes people feel seen without quite knowing why. Psalm 34:5 was written for you. Those who look to him, nahar, radiant, flowing, light in motion, not because you performed it, not because you earned it, but because you kept your face toward the right source in the dark and in the ordinary and in the afraid. You are not overlooked by the one who matters. He made the moon on purpose. He named every star. He notices the firefly. He designed the moonflower to bloom precisely when the sun goes down. He made you to shimmer, and you do, even when you cannot feel it, even when the room is full of sparkle and you are sitting at the edge of things, thinking your quiet, deep, beautiful thoughts. You are radiant. You are nahar. You are light in motion, and nothing can change that. Thank you for being here at Forest's Edge with me today. If this found you, if something in this episode felt like it was spoken directly to you, I would love to hear from you. You can find me at my website at forestsedge.com, where my art and my words live together in the same place. They always have. If you know a woman who needs to hear this today, a shimmer woman who has been told she is too quiet, too much, too deep, too intimidating, will you share this episode with her? She may not find it on her own. She's probably not the one putting herself forward. That is why it needs to be you. Until next time, keep your face turned toward the light and the rest will follow.